You know, there's a peculiar look that sometimes crosses people's faces when they learn you're a woman over 60 living on your own. It's a mixture of pity and concern, as if you've somehow missed life's main event. As if your worth is measured by whether there's a man's jacket hanging in your hallway. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Some of the most content, vibrant women I know are living solo after 60. And they're not waiting for anything or anyone to complete them. They're already whole. For generations, we were taught a very specific script. Meet someone, marry, stay together no matter what, and certainly never end up alone. The word alone itself was meant to frighten us. But here's what that script didn't account for. Life happens, marriages end, partners pass away, and sometimes after years of compromise and caretaking, women discover they actually prefer their own company. This isn't about bitterness or giving up on love. It's about something much more interesting than that. It's about women who've reached a stage of life where they finally get to ask themselves, what do I want? Not what does my husband want, not what do my children need, not what does society expect, just what brings me joy. I've spoken with women who describe their 60s as a second adolescence, but with wisdom and a bank account. Women who've turned spare bedrooms into art studios, who travel on a whim, who eat dinner at 9 or breakfast at noon simply because they can. Women who've learned that being alone and being lonely are two entirely different things. Of course, this life isn't without its challenges, and we'd be doing you a disservice to paint it as one endless vacation. There are real practical concerns that need addressing. The most pressing one, the foundation that makes all this freedom possible, your financial security. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Independence without financial stability isn't really independence at all. So let's talk about money. Let's start with what I hear most often. I've never handled money. My husband always took care of that. If that's you, take a breath. You're not behind, you're just beginning. And beginning at 60-something means you bring decades of life skills to the table. You've managed households, raised children, navigated crises. Money is just another skill, and you're more capable than you think. First, the foundation. Know what you have and what you need. Write it down. Your income sources, Social Security, pension savings, your essential expenses, housing, utilities, food, healthcare. That gap between the two, that's what we're working with. No judgment, just facts. I've met women who discovered they were spending $40 a month on subscriptions they'd forgotten about. Small leaks sink ships. Retirement planning isn't just for people still working. If you're already retired, you're planning how to make what you have last. The rule of thumb says withdraw 4% annually from savings, but your situation is yours alone. A session with a fee-only financial advisor, not someone selling products, but someone you pay for their time, can be worth every penny. Now, investing. The word alone makes some women want to leave the room. But here's simple truth. Even a basic high-yield savings account beats hiding money under the mattress. If you have savings sitting in a regular checking account earning nothing, you're losing money to inflation. Treasury bonds, index funds, certificates of deposit. These aren't complicated once someone explains them in plain English. Let me tell you about Margaret. At 64, newly divorced, she was terrified. She'd never even balanced a checkbook. She started by watching free financial literacy videos at her library. Within 6 months, she'd consolidated her accounts, started a small investment portfolio, and began tutoring English online for extra income. She told me, I spent 40 years thinking I was bad with numbers. Turns out, I just needed someone to explain them like I'm intelligent, not incompetent. That's the other piece, supplementing income if you need to. The gig economy isn't just for young people. Consulting in your former field, selling crafts online, pet sitting, bookkeeping. I know a woman who rents out her driveway near a stadium for $75 per event. Financial independence isn't about being wealthy. It's about being secure enough to make choices, to say no, to say yes, to build the life you actually want. And that life, it's richer when you're not living it entirely alone. Money provides security, but people provide meaning. So let's talk about building the connections that make this journey not just sustainable, but joyful. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Independence doesn't mean isolation. The strongest women I know living solo, they're surrounded by people. Not by accident. By design. Your tribe isn't just nice to have. It's essential infrastructure, as critical as your pension plan. Because at 3 in the morning when you're in the emergency room, or when your car breaks down 40 miles from home, or when you just need someone to laugh with over something ridiculous, that's when you discover what you've built. Start with inventory. Who's actually in your corner right now? Not who should be, not who used to be, who answers when you call. Write names. If that list is shorter than you'd like, you're not alone, and you're not stuck. Building connection after 60 takes intention. Your kids are busy, old friends have scattered, work colleagues are gone, so you create new channels. Join things. I know you're tired of being told to join a book club, but here's what works. Pursue what you're actually curious about. Historical societies, hiking groups, community gardens, volunteer at the food bank. Take that watercolor class. The connection is the byproduct of shared purpose. Linda, 67, moved to a new state knowing no one. She started attending a weekly knitting circle at the library. Within a year, those women were her emergency contacts. They've traveled together, nursed each other through surgeries, and gather every Sunday morning. She told me, "These women know me better than my own sister does now." Here's the part we skip: reciprocity. Relationships wither when they're one-sided. You can't just take. Offer your car when someone needs a ride. Bring soup when someone's ill. Show up. The women with the strongest networks, they're the ones who give as much as they receive. They've become someone others can depend on. Technology helps if you let it. Video calls with grandchildren across the country. Online communities for women navigating exactly what you're navigating. I know a woman who plays online Scrabble with the same 3 friends every evening. They've never met in person, but they've been playing together for 6 years. Your chosen family might look nothing like you imagined. That's fine. What matters is that when life gets hard, and it will, you're not facing it alone. But let's be honest. Even with a strong tribe, there are still nights when loneliness creeps in. That hollow feeling at dinner for one, the silence that feels too loud. Waking up and realizing no one knows if you're okay. These moments are real, and pretending they don't exist doesn't make you stronger. Acknowledging them does. Margaret, 71, told me she schedules her hard moments. Sunday evenings hit her worst. That's when she used to cook big family dinners. Now, she calls her sister at 6 every Sunday. Just knowing that call is coming changes everything. She's not waiting to feel lonely, she's managing it. Mindfulness isn't just meditation apps and breathing exercises, though those help. It's noticing when loneliness is actually something else. Are you lonely, or are you tired, hungry, anxious about money? Sometimes what feels like needing a person is actually needing rest, or a decent meal, or a walk outside. Check your basics first. Creative outlets save lives. I mean that literally. Joy started writing poetry at 68 after her divorce. She told me, "The page listens without judgment. I can say anything." She's now published in 2 small journals. Whether anyone reads it isn't the point. The act of creating something gives shape to feelings that otherwise just swirl. Volunteering does something peculiar to loneliness. It shrinks it. When you're serving meals at the shelter or reading to kids at the library, you're needed. That sense of purpose is medicine, and you're around people, but with structure. No pressure to perform or explain yourself. Some loneliness runs deeper, though. The kind that doesn't lift with a phone call or a hobby. That's when therapy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Support groups for widows, for women navigating singlehood, for anyone dealing with life transitions. These spaces hold what individual friends sometimes can't. Self-compassion is the practice nobody teaches us. You wouldn't tell your best friend she's pathetic for feeling lonely. Don't say it to yourself. This is hard. You're allowed to struggle. You're also allowed to be okay, even happy. Both can be true in the same week, sometimes the same day. Here's what I've learned from women thriving solo. Joy doesn't arrive fully formed. You construct it. Small things, repeated. Morning coffee on the porch. Friday night movies. The garden. These aren't distractions from loneliness. They're the architecture of a life you're building deliberately. And that life, it has room for so much more than you might think. Because once you've made peace with solitude, Once you've built your support and learned to sit with the hard feelings, that's when something remarkable opens up. Suddenly, you've got time, energy, curiosity, and the freedom to ask, what have I always wanted to try? Let me tell you about Patricia, 73. Spent 40 years as an accountant's wife. 2 years after he passed, she booked a solo trip to Portugal. Didn't speak a word of Portuguese. Came back with a camera full of tile photographs and plans for Morocco next spring. She told me, I waited my whole life for someone to go with me. Turns out, I was already here. That's what this chapter reveals. You've done the hard work of building a life alone. Now comes the thrilling part. Filling it with things that make you forget to check the clock. Start with what whispered to you years ago. The painting class you skipped because dinner needed cooking. The book club that met on his bowling night. The language you wanted to learn. Those whispers don't have expiration dates. Judith started piano lessons at 69. She's terrible, she says, laughing. Practices every morning anyway. Travel looks different now, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be Portugal. Day trips count. That town 40 minutes away with the antique stores, the state park you've driven past for 30 years. Adventure is just unfamiliarity, and unfamiliarity grows you. Join things. This matters more than it sounds. The garden club, the historical society, water aerobics. These aren't just activities. They're ecosystems where friendships form sideways while you're focused on something else. No pressure, just presence. Local community colleges offer senior programs, often free. Photography, memoir writing, pottery, astronomy. You're surrounded by other women starting fresh. Starting anything at our age is brave. Doing it together makes it possible. The practical part, start small. One new thing. Tuesday morning at the library for the writing group, see how it feels. If it doesn't fit, try something else. This isn't about filling every hour, it's about discovering which hours feed you. Online communities matter too. Forums for women travelers over 60. Virtual book clubs, YouTube channels teaching watercolor or gardening. The world is wider than it's ever been, right from your living room. Here's what all these women tell me. The doing matters more than the outcome. You don't have to be good. You just have to show up. That showing up, that's you claiming space in your own life. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds lovely, but what about the practical concerns? The real worries that come with living alone, especially at night when the house creaks. Let's talk about that directly, because freedom works best when you also feel secure. Security isn't about fear. It's about sleeping soundly. Start with the basics. Change your locks if you haven't recently. Get a deadbolt, the kind that needs a key on both sides. Cost me $40 in an afternoon. Motion sensor lights for the driveway and back door. They startle raccoons and everything else. A friend gave me this advice: walk around your house like you're trying to break in. That's how I noticed the basement window with the broken latch. The side gate anyone could open. You can't fix what you don't see. Keep your phone charged and near you at night. Program ICE, in case of emergency, into your contacts. Tell a neighbor or friend your routine. Mine knows if my kitchen light isn't on by 8 a.m., something's wrong. That's not paranoia, that's common sense. For online safety, never wire money to someone you haven't met in person. Period. No grandson is stuck in jail needing gift cards. Banks don't need you to verify your account through email. Delete it. When in doubt, call the company directly using the number you find yourself, not the one in the message. Join your local senior center's safety workshops. They're free and cover everything from scam prevention to what actually works for home defense. Our police department does house security checks. They came, pointed out 3 things I'd never considered, didn't charge a cent. Consider a medical alert system if you have health concerns. My sister resisted until she fell in the shower. Now she wears hers in the garden. Here's the truth. You're statistically safer now than at any point in history. But feeling safe matters as much as being safe. Take the precautions that let you exhale. Because once you do, once you're sleeping well and walking confidently, that's when you realize something powerful. You're not just surviving alone, you're thriving. And that changes how you see everything, even how you see yourself in the mirror. You know what nobody tells you about living without a man after 60? How good you start to look to yourself. I'm serious. Something shifts when you stop performing. when there's no one to dress for, to stay young for, to shrink yourself for. At first, you might avoid mirrors. Then one day you catch your reflection and think, there I am. Those lines around your eyes, they're from laughing at your grandkids, from squinting at sunsets you chose to watch. That silver hair everyone says you should color, it's the same shade as your mother's, your grandmother's. You're part of a lineage now, not competing with your younger self. My neighbor Margaret is 73. She started wearing red lipstick for the first time last year. Bright, unapologetic red. Said she'd always thought it was too much. Too much for whom? Her husband never liked it. Now she wears it to the grocery store. The beauty industry wants your money and your insecurity. They'll sell you creams to erase your decades. But here's what I've learned. The women who glow at our age aren't the ones fighting time. They're the ones who stopped apologizing for taking up space. Wear what feels good. Move your body because it's a gift, not a problem to fix. Feed yourself real food. Rest without guilt. That's not vanity, that's respect. And when someone calls you invisible, laugh because you're not invisible. You're selective. You're done performing. You're finally, beautifully free to be exactly who you are. So let's bring this all together, because everything we've talked about, the money, the friendships, the safety, the refusing to disappear, it all connects. Living without a man after 60 isn't a consolation prize. It's not something to survive or get through. It's a life, a full, rich, complicated, beautiful life that you get to design from scratch. Let's be clear about what we've covered here. Financial independence isn't about being wealthy. It's about knowing your numbers and making choices from strength, not fear. Those support networks, they're not just nice to have. They're your lifeline, your laughter, your legacy. Emotional well-being means feeling your feelings without someone else's mood setting the temperature in your home. Personal growth at this age isn't selfish, it's the whole point. You've earned this time. Safety is practical, not paranoid. Lock your doors, know your neighbors, trust your instincts. And ageism, that's their problem, not yours. When society tries to make you invisible, you don't fade, you decide who gets to see you. Here's what I want you to remember. You are not half of something. You're not waiting to be completed. You're whole, right now, exactly as you are. Some of you watching this are thriving and just needed the validation. Others are struggling and needed to know you're not alone. Both are true, both are okay. This isn't about pretending it's perfect. It's about claiming what's yours. Your time, your choices, your one precious life. So I have a challenge for you. Share your story in the comments. What's one thing you've discovered about yourself since living alone? What surprised you? What do you wish someone had told you? Your experience might be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. Or maybe it's time to take action. Join that group you've been considering. Sign up for the class, call the friend you've been thinking about, book the trip, wear the red lipstick. Because here's the truth we keep circling back to. You don't need permission anymore. Not from your kids, not from society, not from the ghost of who you used to be. You're 60 plus, single, and standing. That's not a tragedy, that's a triumph. Now go live like you know it.